Hello, everybody. It's Just in Case of American Newscape, joining our friend and media personality, Jerry Maldonado, back for another installment of episodes names have changed to Meatball Perspectives. Hello, Jerry. Welcome back to American Newscape.
Oh, welcome back, man. I missed you last week, and I apologize. Work has been busy, blessed, but that last week I didn't want to wake up, man. I'm sorry.
What?
It wasn't happening. It was my perspective last week. I apologize.
Well, they really don't come here to hear us sleep, so we understand. Were you up to your neck
Yeah,
in croissants or something exciting?
up to my neck with work, and believe me, I don't complain. But like I said, it was just a day of physical rest. I guess at our age, we need naps. There you go. A nap kind of the nap was kind of prolonging itself, and sorry, I can't compensate
Yeah,
for calling in.
if your life matters today in hearing me, you're gonna die because I'm
Yeah,
not gonna be
yeah,
there.
not gonna be there.
All right.
Sorry.
All right. Jerry, you brought up this topic. It's a great topic. Sponsoring thoughts matter. And I think they do. So Jerry, what's happening with that?
Honestly, I'll give you a quick personal story. Learning about this really saved my life about 15 years ago. I love bringing these personal stories of mine to life because a lot of people can relate to this. And imagine the setting, dark like it is now, 12 by 12 cement block. It's actually quite cold. I still remember the day vividly. And bodies covered literally in eczema. I got notes for child support payments piled up. The bills are piled up. There's nothing to eat, and I'm giving everything away to my kids. And I had bought painkillers from an employee at a place that I was working at because it hurt so bad. And the ER wouldn't take me anymore. They wouldn't give me nothing for it. And I put them all in my hand one night, and I looked at it again, and I looked up and I saw my dog. And she was smiling at me, and she was wagging her tail. And I said, wait, there's something better than this. Why is she looking at me with this beautiful smile? And here I am holding this handful of pills. And that really enticed me to really take a look at motivation, inspiration, and how it wasn't working in my life. And I
Right.
had to delve deeper into it. And I was introduced, well, it actually found me, Neil Donald Walsh. He coined the phrase sponsoring thought. That was the start of the transformation with me. That was understanding that, if you look at a building, the buildings now, a sponsored building, I mean, they run the show. Sponsoring thoughts are the same thing. It's not your subconscious mind, but your most dominant thought about yourself coupled with feeling that really generates the manifestations you're creating every single day. And when I understood that, that was like you and I were throwing breadcrumbs at each other in the beginning about, names and this and that really triggered that concept with me. It made me realize there's something bigger than me. A lot of us take that to heart. They don't think they're worthy enough. They don't think they're powerful enough. That's a sponsoring thought. And that's your creation starting point. Whatever you've been conditioned to believe in, you couple that with powerful thoughts about yourself, as I was saying before, almost like a self deprecating thought about yourself on a continuous basis. You're going to anchor these sponsoring thoughts that are going to self sabotage you in the most devastating way. That's what was happening to me. I wasn't worthy. Life was hard. I kept reiterating going on with this correspondence back and forth. It's almost like Animal House with the devil and the angel. Remember that in the
Yep.
70s? It was going, but I wasn't saying the words he was saying. I was saying, Meatball, what are you doing? And this is like the epiphany that most people need to get to, sadly. You get to that desperation point in your life, and you're saying there's got to be something better. When you start asking better questions, and Neil Donald Walsh from Conversations with God really opened that door to let me understand there is something that's very deep. And to find that transformation in your life, you have to clean the closet before you can build a new house.
Well, Jerry, my meatball perspective on all that is there was divine intervention And the guardian angel was your dog. I don't know what your dog's name was, but
Yeah, well,
maybe at that
yeah.
moment that was the vessel that you could be reached with, and it proved
No,
true.
you're right. I mean, well, her dog, her name was Puppy. It's just
Wow.
simple, yeah, pragmatic kind of name. You know what I mean? But that she gave me. She said, "Wait, why are you sitting there wagging your tail and smiling at me? And here I am holding this handful of painkillers, ravaging and oozing, and it said, wait a minute, there's something bigger, there's something better that we can grasp hold of in life, but we have to learn how to use the tools." And when Neil opened the door to me in that book, Conversations with God, it was an audible version. I mean, I listened to it at least 100 times. It's the thought behind the thoughts
Yeah.
that run your life. It's like the sponsor of the building that runs the show because it pays the bills. Our sponsoring thought are the anchored beliefs that we hold about ourselves, the self talk, the corresponding thoughts that we send out every day that the world doesn't see, but we manifest every day. And that's the point. I was re-manifesting all this hardship just because of the sponsoring thoughts I had of myself, the self-deprecating thoughts of not being worthy enough, not being good enough. Couple that with feelings of that, get a day like we were talking about, and you anchor that in constantly, living in a 12 by 12, you're going to hit that bottom. And that bottom feeder trigger for me really opened the door, and I hope for many others as well, because to manage that, all you have to do is to reiterate a new thought on a constant basis and to reiterate to yourself every day, because if you want something, you have to become that something from the inside out, not from the outside in. I let the outside world dictate who I was when I wasn't really that. I just molded myself around my beliefs of myself at the time, like we were talking about before. It's our mood, it's our day. But then you couple that into months, weeks, years, decades. That anchor gets anchored deep in your mind.
Well, okay. No, I agree with you, and yeah, I'm afraid a lot of people are searching for something to believe in, and the first thing they should believe in
Ooh,
is themselves.
yes, yes. Give me something to believe in. I mean, you and I know that, and our viewer, and belief is everything. But when you start understanding not what you're consciously thinking, but subconsciously thinking, you're unconsciously, we're in this mode, this alt mode all day long of just, casually thinking. My question is, what are you thinking about? Because no motivation or inspiration is going to help you. It's understanding what's going on under the hood. It's understanding what you're constantly bringing about every day in your thoughts, seeing your outcomes in life. And I mentioned this the other night on my show. Your thought patterns are your life patterns. You start seeing the synchronicities that you're attracting every day. That's a red flag, an indication of what's going on, what's buried deep. If you don't believe in something, I don't care how many times you get inspired by it, you can't manifest it. And if you do, if you're lucky enough to do, you're going to self sabotage it. It's like lottery winners. They want all this money. The sponsoring thought kicks in. You're going to lose it. You start becoming fearful. You start attracting fearful situations. Therefore, you're going to lose it. Prepare the plate before dinner is served. Is my thought on that. Prepare yourself for your outcome mentally, physically, spiritually. Watch how it manifests, because when it does, it's like a chef prepping a dinner. You have to get everything ready beforehand to create the masterpiece. When you realize you're a masterpiece, you're going to start working on that work of art every day. And that's what I do every single day. Not as any kind of hobby, but peace of mind and clarity in your thoughts. You become a magnet to all your desires because now you're free. And when you start realizing how free you are, you'll start manifesting exactly what you want to bring.
Well, I think you and I intuitively don't celebrate our individual victories because to us it's just another step.
Ah, yes, great point.
You know,
We,
if I,
we know what's going to happen.
well, we may wish we had $10 million in the bank, but that's not the end of the story.
Oh, yeah.
And you're
Oh yeah,
right.
I mean,
Planning for that success is going to keep the ball rolling, so to speak.
great point. Great point. You're literally you're prepping yourself for the outcome of what you're. I mean, that's the action they're talking about when they say thought, word, and deed. The action is prepping yourself, not necessarily taking action towards it, but prepping yourself mentally to handle it. You have to become it on the inside, as I mentioned before, to attract it on the outside. It's hard for people to understand that you have to let go in order to let in. How do you let go? You impose a new thought process. A new thought process. You impose a new way of thinking, and that's all I did. But like I said, it's a process that you have to keep doing. It's I was grateful to hit that epiphany, that wall that night. I'll never forget it. I was grateful for that because it woke me up. Some people are just sleepwalking all day long, not consciously thinking they're actually destroying themselves. And this is the hardest part about reality. They can't blame the outside world anymore. I mean, we have the facts behind it to prove it. They have to look in the mirror and realize they're the starting point. They're the creation process. What's going on under the hood as far as your deep convictions, your thoughts, your beliefs? This is what I figure out every day in my journaling. And it has definitely changed my thought process because now you recognize how you were destroying yourself in the first place.
Well, true. And in moving forward, we're trying to do the most honest assessment of ourselves as we can.
Yes, honest. That's a hard topic, and I'm getting close to the mic on that one.
Well, no, no feedback.
most
But
of us most of us are not honest with ourselves, and a lot of people can concur with that. It's life's fault, Meatball. It's my mother's fault. My dad raised me the wrong way. I mean, all these things they're throwing out there as excuses. I'm sorry. You face the facts, or the facts are going to face you inevitably. You got to make that conscious choice in life. Okay, fine, this happened to you. Yes, indeed, this happened to you. That happened to you. Right. That's great. Okay, fine. What are you going to do now? Right now, today. That was 20 years ago. Why are you still carrying that around? And people are afraid to answer that question. They're afraid of letting go. How I got rid of my ailments was I let go of the cause of them. And a lot of people who know me personally, my skin was ravaged for years with eczema and all other ailments. It's only when I let go of all the pain that the pain started to let go of me physically. And I love that. I love the fact that we can control our lives just by the power of our thoughts, but we have to implement them. We have to understand them. Most importantly, understand ourselves, understand our patterns, our beliefs, our convictions. I mean, it doesn't matter how you were raised. What are you going to do now at this point in your life? What are you going to do now? No matter what has happened to you, what are you going to do to create the next point? Because you've already relived the story. You've already written 15 chapters on it. What are you going to do now as far as rewriting the new story about who you want to become? That gets the ball rolling in your mindset.
well, I was for a big part of my life in certain arenas, I was a master of denial. When I was an athlete, I was never injured. When I was lifting weights and my shoulder blew up, I was back on the bench that next day trying to lift weights. I denied how hurt I really was.
Now, when you talk about denial as far as being an athlete, there's a big difference between being an athlete and so-called average person per se. Athletes are conditioned mentally.
Hmm.
Was that the cause of your perseverance to go back right
Well,
there and then? Because
well,
you were conditioned already to do it?
from a different era, they were taking water off my knees when I was 14. So I kind of conditioned myself to not recognize pain. And the way to do that,
Ah,
I just denied it. Well, now the problem
and
with most of my life, I could deny pain and my pain tolerance was through the roof. But now that I'm an old fart meatball, I go, ow, it hurts.
yeah, you get a splinter. I get it. I get it. You need a day at the clinic. I totally get it.
But that's just
I totally get it.
perspective in times, perspectives in the situation. And sometimes it helped me, and sometimes it got in my way. So when I talk about honest assessment, I try to be as honest as possible so I can work on a problem or a goal.
You know, it's amazing how when we're young, I mean, the mind is young, the body's strong. We get older, the body's weak, and the mind is strong. We kind of go bass backwards, with our life on that. And but it's a great tool. Understanding yourself is true power.
Yeah.
Understanding, yeah, we got the little aches and pains. Understanding the pain actually helps alleviate it because now we're
Yes.
not focusing on it. I can ask my daughter that. She was at the clinic every week before she moved here. Cold, sniffles, banging, this, that. I think she's been to the doctor once in almost 2 years. Why is that? Because you got a new atmosphere. You're not focusing on it constantly. When you're an athlete per se, or you're doing something that you have a passion for, like your purpose in life, your goals and your dreams, you're not going to focus on the little things, obstructions.
Right.
I call them roadblocks or speed bumps. You're not going to focus on that. That's a great point for people to realize. Yeah, we all have our little niches. Yeah, I'm a big wuss once in a while too. When I get a headache and I got to lay down, I got to get the ice pack on my head. I
It
just realized I
hurts.
was just thinking too hard that day, and it gave me a friggin' migraine. But we all have that power. We all have the healing power. We have the passion to bring whatever we want, but we have to understand who we are as a person and be completely and utterly, blatantly honest about that. And once you figure that out, you say, "Wait, oh my goodness, am I a train wreck? I got to fix that."
Well, true. And, some of us that were so hyper focused on goals, we wear these blinders. So we're subject to being damaged by everything we're not bothering to pay any attention to.
Great point. Yeah, I was blinded by the light
Yeah.
for decades. I mean, decades. I was just goal, 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 not prepping for any part of the goal, just going for it blindedly by the light. And boy, did I wake up one day with my head against the brick wall behind me, for not literally, but understanding, say, wait, I got to prep this machine for a better life. And that's where literature came in, writing came in, you came in to expose my work many, many, many moons ago. It started the ball rolling per se, and that's the thing that I hope people can grasp for themselves. It's not an overnight success, but it's a lifelong set of rules you give yourself, your own constitution per se that you follow every day, and you're going to watch everything start to manifest the way you really want it, just by understanding who you are.
And a perspective, perspective of the world around you. My favorite athletes in the world are those 34-year minor league baseball players that will never step foot on a major league field playing major league baseball. But their
Yeah.
passion for the sport is what fuels their whole life. And I respect that.
Double A, triple A. Oh yeah, I got them. I grew up with that. I mean, around here we had the Boston Red Sox, triple A or double A, and you saw. I mean, even the Yankees. So you saw. I saw a 19-year-old Derek Jeter. I mean, for crying out loud, down there playing on these little fields. They weren't playing for money. It's like when people ask me, Jerry, you're an author. How much you get paid? I didn't care about the money. I did it because I wanted to. You don't chase the money, you chase the dream, not chase it literally, but you put that forward, it's going to pay dividends later. And that's why these guys, they don't care in the minor leagues. They just love what they're doing and allowing that to manifest in their life. It doesn't matter because as long as you're internally happy, everything else is going to work out in your favor.
Well, and I think it's you develop a respect for others, learning to develop that respect. There was a waiter that used to work in the Beverly Hills Hilton, and I was lucky enough to sit at his station once with a date, and he treated us like royalty. And I thought, my gosh, this man he may be the best waiter in the history of the world. And I walked out of there,
Passionate.
and I walked out of there impressed. 2 years later, I went back in the restaurant, and he remembered my name. He remembered what I ordered.
And he remembered, what are you doing in the Beverly Hills Hilton?
No, it was like,
What are you doing in the Hilton, man? You belong in the Motel 6 back then.
no, it was
But
like,
I'm glad.
no, it was just amazing. It amazed me. his passion for the job. And I was talking to the restaurant's manager, and he said, "Oh, he makes a lot of money."
Oh,
I
no,
mean, because he was the best waiter in the world.
well, you bring up a great point. It's the process. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, when I first started making these videos, I was stuttering. I mean, it's just a process of you evolving into that passion and learning to get past this. You can't get rid of sponsoring thoughts. You can manage them, and that's the key. You dominate your thought process in your life every day with the person you want to become in a positive way, never self-deprecating yourself, never doubting your worthiness, never doubting who you can become. You're going to reinstall and reprogram the computer. That's all transformation is. It's reprogramming the self to a new self and approaching a new destiny in life by your choice of it. But like I said, like the waiter, you got to keep doing it because you're going to get really good at it. But you're also, if you don't do it, you're going to get really good at self-destroying yourself as well. So pick your poison, pick your choice in life every day. I made that choice, going on what almost 2 decades ago, ups, downs, speed bumps, but realizing in the end, that's all there is. You keep working on it, you're going to get there.
absolutely. Stay in the moment and do what you can. Jerry,
Oh God, yeah.
why don't you leave us with a tool and we'll get out of here. Give us a tool that we can be better at sponsoring our thoughts.
Understanding them, understanding the person that you are, being brutally honest of your so-called. We don't have flaws; we have self. Being brutally honest of who you are, what you do every day. A lot of people that I know on Facebook knew me when I was younger. They can attest that it's like night and day right now. How did that happen? I was brutally honest with the person that I wanted to become and understanding who I was as a person then and now. You people become brutally honest with who you want to become. You're going to start understanding that you can manifest that, but it's a diligent process of realizing what you want to have, what you want to be, what you want to do every day. Create a passion behind it. Get rid of the past. Jesus, I mean, stop carrying the backpack and pushing forward this narrative of something that you're not. We're worthy for anything that we want. We can have anything we desire, but you have to make a conscious choice every day to repetitively push that narrative, that new story about yourself even further.
Well, and remember the words of probably the greatest philosopher in our lifetimes, which would have been, well, I'll give you his statement. I am what I am.
Oh,
Pop.
Popeye.
Popeye the Sailor Man.
I had to think. Wait, let me get the spinach meatball. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, this guy was just. I'm sorry, he was preaching gospel.
He was.
Really think about it. I mean, back then, I mean, they were citing scripture. I am what I am. Indeed, I am that I am. You people start saying that to yourself every day. I am this. I am better than this. I am better than that. I am worthy to have whatever I want. You start, inciting a mental riot in your mind, but in a good way. Say, wait, this feels good. Let me keep doing it. Great point, brother. Great point. Popeye for all of you guys, man.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Hey, everybody. This has been Justin Case and Jerry Maldonado bringing you the newly renamed Meatball Perspectives. Thanks for joining us. Remember, additional information and links provided in this video is read more. Today's the day to subscribe to this channel. Please learn more about Jerry Maldonado when time permits.